Okay, we are live. Welcome again to another live broadcast. So glad that you guys are here. Today is May the 28th, 2026. I hope you guys are having a wonderful week. I know for some of you at least, this was a short week because of the holiday, Memorial Day. And but other people, you had to work. But either way, you're here. I'm so glad that you're here, and we're going to get right into it today. Today's topic, we're going to talk about the Black Matrix. Yes, my friends, there is a such thing as the Black Matrix. I don't know if you knew that or not, but we're going to talk about that. Specifically, we're going to get into how religion has been used to hold this matrix system together and why so many Black folks are so intertwined and locked into this thing. And we're going to get into it and talk about why you need to get the hell up out of it. Okay. So we're going to talk about that and maybe some other things, maybe not, but that's really going to be the bulk today. If you are a fraternity, sorority member, or even a Boule member, we're going to be especially addressing you in this broadcast. I hope you stick around. Welcome again to another broadcast, and we're going to give people about a minute, and then we're going to go ahead and get in on this. Welcome.
In the sun, sweet on my tongue. Every step she takes, a rhythm begun. Yeah. She's cocoa, she's velvet, she's all I need. A sugar rush, walking, a living dream indeed. Her laughter smooth like caramel streams. She's the spark, she's the cream in my dreams. Chocolate girl, oh, you rock my world. Sweet like a kiss, yeah. Let your love unfurl. Chocolate girl, yeah, yeah. Yeah, my heart's a swirl. Can't get enough of my chocolate girl. She's got a smile like a candy shop glow. Every word she speaks, it's a sugar flow. Her eyes, they shine like a cocoa night. She's the flavor I crave, she's my delight. She's the taste I can't ignore. One bite leaves me wanting more. Bittersweet and oh, so divine.
Woo! Ha!
Chocolate girl, you're forever mine. Do ya? Chocolate girl, chocolate girl.
All right.
Ooh, yeah.
Come on.
Get enough, get enough, oh, get enough, babe. Do ya? Chocolate girl,
All right.
for my chocolate girl.
Welcome to another broadcast. Like I said, today is May the 28th, 2026. Weather today in sunny Arizona has been pretty good. It was pretty good today, under 100, so it was pretty good. We had a little bit of overcast for the most part of the day, which kept it kind of cool, by Arizona standards. So it was pretty nice. I'm looking outside right now, and we're under blue skies right now. And the temperature right now, I'm sitting at 90 degrees. So 90 degrees out here isn't bad. You could go out there and do what you need to do and all of that. And it's pretty good. So how's the weather where you are? I hope you guys are enjoying the outside, even if it's raining. I hope you get outside. Remember, my melanated people, what did I tell you you need to be doing on a daily basis? Getting the sun. Your body tells you that you need to have sunlight in your life. You can't live like everybody else and think that these LED lights are going to give you the energy and the strength and the health that you need. These LED lights are man-made. They're not designed to give you life. They're designed to take away life from you. You are a sun person, so you have to be outside and get maximum or optimum sunlight. Now, everyone, depending on the tone or the shade of melanin that you have, you just listen to your body, like our dear sister Violet says, listen to your body, and you can kind of tell, okay, this is getting a bit too much. I need to head on inside. That's what you do, okay? But yeah, you need sunlight, all right? Breathing exercises. Why are breathing exercises important? They're important because it helps to regulate or to reset your nervous system. There's a lot of crazy stuff on social media. There's a lot of things that we expose ourselves to on a regular basis. And a lot of times, unfortunately, many of us will start off our day with those crazy things. Well, you shouldn't do that. You should start your day doing some basic breathing exercises. You're here on YouTube. There are plenty of videos out here that will instruct you just on the basics of that. Look up something called box breathing. It's very easy, simple, and very good. And it just helps clear your mind, resets your nervous system, and just, and once you start doing it on a regular basis, it just becomes habit, and so I would highly encourage you to do that. And I'm going to keep on telling y'all, okay, making sure you get out there, get your walk in, and like I said, your breathing exercises, and and get to bed on time too. You don't need to be up. If you don't need to be up late, don't be up. Okay, don't do that. All right. But anyway, other than that, we got to always start off with that, because those are foundational things as we dive into these different items here. Okay, because I need listeners to be of good sound mind when we're diving into this stuff. Okay. Well, anyway, today, first of all, this broadcast has been brought to you by Samba Tree. Samba Tree is the website that we created as a resource center to help kind of underpin, if you will, the general message of our platform, which is basically, to inform people, to give you information, but also to point people in a way of self-healing, right? And so one of the ways of doing that is by getting people to take their health seriously, but most importantly, take it in your own hands, okay? We do not need to turn our entire health, whatever program we have, over to an industry that has a long history of not liking you, okay? But we still have people who do that and believe that, oh my God, they took away my health care, and what am I going to do? You still got a lot of people that think that way. But I'm here to tell you that nature's been around a lot longer than bare aspirin or Anacin or high blood pressure pills and all of these other things. Nature has been around for a very long time, and it's been providing solutions for a very long time for all people, okay? And that's what Samba Tree is about. And so I would highly encourage you, if you haven't been to our website, please make sure you head on over there right now. We got something going on. Let me see if I could bring this up here on the screen just very quickly, because one of the things we try to do on our site is we are about education. And so over on, we have something called Samba University. And at Samba University, we got 50% off of all the classes that we have on there. Nicole has our alternate day fasting class that she has. And it means you get the video and whatever information, the printed information, the notes and all of that study guide. You get all of that with the Jumpstart program. Nicole is a walking, living example of that. And there's other people who did the same thing, and that she mentions in this, and they have seen the same results. So if you're looking to shed some real pounds, that doesn't require pills and all that kind of stuff, you definitely want to get on that, okay? 50% off that, all right? We got the Big Black Book of AI Prompts. This is something that I took a lot of my time putting together prompts that you can use on platforms like ChatGPT or Claude or whatever. It doesn't matter. And what it does is, and I'll just give you the highlights real quick. I said perfect for beginners, students, entrepreneurs, artists, and educators. No coding required, of course. Written in an easy to follow, relatable tone. Bonus content inspired by Black culture, history, and creativity. Ideal for ages 16 and up. And it's basically what it is that I put together how many pages? It's a lot. I had the number of pages on here, but it's a whole lot, y'all. It's a whole lot of pages that I put together. And these are different prompts that you can use to get you started on your research journey, whatever it is that you're getting into. It can be photography. It could be, I have a whole section on image prompts, because if you look at a lot of people who do these, create AI images, a lot of times they tend to stay within the same style. You know, we are very creative, okay, as a people, very creative as a people. And we can use some of that creativity. We have to learn how to use the technology to express that creativity. So I'm not on here. We're not in this talking about, okay, just type in man with afro holding this or that or whatever. No, I'm giving you the full from an artist perspective prompts on that you can use to get you started on how your artwork can look very unique. All right. So we have that, that's a whole art section. We have one for music. We have one for history. If you're trying to start a business, if you're trying to just do research on all kinds of things, I have this is an exhaustive resource that I put together that you can, is 50% off right now, that you can use, if you're someone that, you want to take your search skills to another level when it comes to using AI for your research. This is a great way of doing that. Incidentally, Google, by the way, they just made the decision, and you're going to start seeing it soon. Some of you guys may have already started seeing it. When you do a search, traditionally up to this point, when you do a search on Google, you would see, a page of links, right? I hope you'll get a page of different links relating to whatever it is that you're searching to. Well, Google now they're doing away with that. So now what you'll see is a page where it's just going to take you right to Gemini, which is their AI tool. Okay. And so now you're being forced to use these LLMs, these long language tools here. You're being forced to use these tools. Okay, so like it or not, however you feel about it, this is the now. We're in the now right now, and you need to know how to communicate with these tools, how to ask questions and all of that. And that's what we do in that resource, okay? 50% off right here. Breaking the Chains. I have this is our main series that we did, where we are walking you through the Bible from a historical perspective. And when I say historical, we're looking at it from a factual historical perspective, meaning that we're showing you, we got the Bible in one hand, and we got actual factual history and research in the other hand. And we're measuring the claims of the Bible with actual factual history. And whatever decision or conclusion you want to come to at the end of that, that's entirely up to you. But we're in this series, we're talking in this it's like a 5+ hour video seminar that I did, and you get a book that goes along with it, along with notes. No, the book, I think you get, no, I'm sorry. You don't get the book, but you get notes on my slides, which is like, I forgot, well over 100 slides that you get with that. All right. So if you're someone that has had a lot of questions about the Bible or Christianity and all of that, this is a great resource, and we really get into the weeds. Okay. So this is one, it's not just a one time sit down, this is one that you're going to keep going back to over and over again because of the amount of information. And then, of course, we have the books there and all of that stuff too. So there's other things there as well. So make sure you check that out. 50% off of our digital collection. We also got the fig leaf harvest situation going on right now. Nicole did another beautiful short. Make sure you check that out over on our Samba Tree YouTube page. We have cloves. She did a video on that and the benefits of that as well, and a lot of other things. So make sure you check us out. We have our own supplement line. We created our own supplement line here. Make sure you check that out. 10% off when you buy 2 or more. And we have our own coffee line. Make sure you check that out. So we're about health and wellness from a natural perspective. So make sure you check that out. Again, the website is sambatree.com. All right. So let's go ahead and get into it. So today we're going to talk about this. I just posted about this a little over an hour ago. And I just shook my head. Now, for those that follow this platform, we try to be as balanced as possible. All right. So we do talk about the things we need to focus on, as a so-called community. And we've even questioned, is there such thing truly as a black community? Because you can't spell community without unity, common unity. All right. Is there a common unity within the black community? And my argument has been, no, it's not. And I quite honestly, when I think about it, it's a very broad term when you say the black community, because there's what we call the black community contains a diverse landscape of people that have different opinions and all of that. So there's really not a way. I think it's a little bit unrealistic to believe that somehow black folks, or any other group for that matter, are all to march on the same exact drum. As much as we want to believe that white people, for example, operate like that, they do that on some things. But all it takes is a little bit of honesty. You'll see that white people are all over the map when it comes to the economy, when it comes to religion, when it comes to all kinds of things, diet, where to live and all of that. I live out here in Arizona, and I could tell you one of the most diverse areas in the Phoenix area, I would say, is Mesa, Arizona. I know many of you, if you've never been here, Mesa, Arizona, I'm sure you've heard of it. It is, I would tell people, I said, if you ever get lost in the Phoenix area, you're in Mesa, because it's literally like everywhere. I'm like, can I ever escape Mesa? I mean, it's everywhere. That's how huge this is. I mean, you got what they would consider the hood in Mesa, but then you also got, the higher echelon of people or whatever, multi-million-dollar homes. And it's like, it reminds you of LA, and just the diversity of, from an economic perspective and all of that. And you got white people that live in all of them. You know what I'm saying? And so they're not all on this team where they're team white, as much as we want to believe that. Same thing with Hispanics and other groups as well. There's a diversity of thought, belief systems, all kinds of stuff, right? So black folks, we're no different. We have a diversity amongst ourselves. So is it fair to say that there is a community to a measure? I'm not saying that there is no community. There is one, but it's a very loose term. And my whole point is we need to challenge that a little bit, because for too long we have been telling ourselves in our minds that somehow we are this one day that we're going to formulate into Voltron, where we're all just going to come together and everybody's going to work on Team Black. But the reality is that is not real. It's not. I don't think that would ever happen. It's not because we're black. It's just we're human. I mean, you can look at the continent of Africa, for example, the amount of diversity of thought and opinion that you'll find just on that continent. Same thing here in, what we call the United States of America prior to it being called that. I mean, you had different tribes that had different belief systems and all of that. There were certain agreements amongst these tribes, but for the most part, they were not Team Indian. You know what I'm saying? They had infighting and all kinds of stuff and different opinions and all of that stuff. So so that's the thing that I want us to really challenge, is this belief that we're supposed to all be on one accord and all of that. Because what I'm saying to you is that is not true. It's not. And so one of the other things that we've talked about is that we live in a matrix system. I mean, if you've seen the movie or the series of movies, The Matrix, many people have rightfully described it as, it's not just a movie, it's a documentary. And basically it describes a world where psychologically people are under this spell, if you will, where they are under the control of this invisible yet visible system that keeps them in this state of being controlled, right? And we just do things because, well, that's just what we're told to do. You know what I mean? And we don't know why. We just do it. We don't. I'm supposed to, go to school. I'm supposed to go to college. I'm supposed to, get married. I'm supposed to do this. I'm supposed to do that. Or whatever. And, you do these things because the system tells you to do that. I'm supposed to be this because the system tells me to do that, so forth and so on. And, but we have to look at, okay, what have been the results of following what this system has told us to do? Well, by following the script, we're seeing the results of it. We've been seeing the results of it. There are certain people that have been doing exceedingly very well, while there's other people who have not. And so we have to, at some point, you would think we would take some pause and say, I'm not necessarily liking the way this script is going. And so, but we continue to go with it, and we continue to push and push and push. And it's kind of like that commercial where the fisherman, he's dangling the carrot, just a little bit more, you almost had it, and we just go along with that, and we think, okay, well, this is just how it is. But I want to say this to you, and then before I continue, I want to say a big shout out, of course, to everybody that's in the chat. Give yourself a hand. Thank you so much for joining us today. And I'm not going to hit a button that's going to be like, yay, and all that, because you get that. But so appreciative of each and every one of you. And as always, thank you so much for joining. If this is your first time, don't be a stranger. Take some time and take a look at all the other videos that we have here. Been around for quite a minute and quite a while on this part of the internet. So we have a ton of videos for you to look at. So do take the time and check some of the stuff out that we have, okay? Anyway, so let's get back here. So today we are going to take a look at something that I'm calling the Black Matrix, all right? The Black Matrix is basically what I would say is the matrix within the matrix system. And what I mean by that is that there are individuals that have appointed themselves as the leaders of Black people. And it's interesting because we are probably, more than likely, I've been really racking my brain about this and like really wanting to know what other groups will honestly say that we have leaders. This is our leader. This is our leadership as a group. These are the spokespeople of our group. Recently the NAACP and Congressional Black Caucus, as you know, has been raising quite a ruckus as of late because they have, because of this whole gerrymandering thing, they've been saying that Black people are going to lose their representation. That if the remapping that the Republicans are pushing, if it goes through, then that means that Black people will not have a voice. We will not have any representation at all. But if you've been following this platform, we've been taking a closer look at that, at the actual representation and seeing what they've been up to for the past 20, 30, 40 years, which has been pretty much nothing. Because in 2026, we're still complaining about the same stuff. You understand what I'm saying? So no, it's still the same stuff that we've been complaining about for years and years and years. It's still going on. So that says a lot about black representation. Okay. But anyway, but we tell ourselves that if we do not have a black face in a high place, then we're doomed. There's no hope for black people. But what we try to do on this platform is this, is that I try to encourage you. My goal is to get you, not the whole, just you, I'm talking to you specifically, is to get you to see that your progress as an individual begins with you as the individual. It doesn't begin with a whole group of agreement, because you'll never get an entire group to agree with you. You'll never do that. And that is something I tell myself all the time. I have to remind myself. But you have to start with you. Not because you're black, but because you are you. You are here for a reason. Everything that's living is here for a reason. There's a specific reason why you are here, okay? It starts with you. That's where it begins. That's where the conversation begins. It doesn't begin in Washington. It doesn't begin with the black leadership. It doesn't begin with an elected official. It doesn't begin with a vote. It begins with you discovering who you are. That's where it begins. And then from there, once you start, really taking the time to discover who you really are, then you can build on that. And then eventually you'll begin to attract people or find people that have similar interests. And as I've said many times on this platform, there's going to be many times that those people will not look like you. In other words, there are going to be many times those people will not be black. Who exactly told you that everyone that is in your circle has to look like you? Who put that qualifier in your ear? You understand what I'm saying? And some people, they have a hard time processing that because we've been told for too long that you have to, everyone around you in your circle of influence has to look like you. That doesn't even work in the business world. You understand what I'm saying? So we have to break out of that. But this is one of the many things that the system has told us, that we have to think that way. And what I'm saying is, no, we can't think that way at all. Okay. And so this system has, with this maze within the maze, has assigned a group of people to get us, to keep us huddled together in a framework of thinking that has us to believe that the system is basically something that we have to abide by, right? And it pulls from something that we are very familiar with, and that is religion. Both of these systems, be it the church and politics, are both religions. They're religions. Church is a religion. It's an organization that is centered on religion. That's what it is, right? But politics is also a religion as well. It is. Because think about it. When you think about what these politicians will tell you, and if you look at the thumbnail of this video, you got Jesus up there. I put a black Jesus on there, right? And he's holding up the ballot and he's saying, do this in remembrance of them. Don't politicians tell you that? If you got to vote because you got to remember the ancestors. They bled and died so that you can have an opportunity to make a difference. In church, we say the same thing. Jesus bled and died so you can have another opportunity at life. It's the same rhetoric. We say the same thing. And so a lot of times politics will pull from church and vice versa to get black folks to stay on code and to stay coddled in and whatever. Think about in church, for example, there's always these promises that are basically kick the can promises. Now, we've talked about this in great detail a lot, where we say, in Christianity, one of the many promises is they will lay hands on the sick and watch them recover. And that we're going to see, you're going to have the power to raise up the dead. Now, some of you may have noticed over time, my language has probably gotten a little bit more colorful. But I have to tell you why that is, because I am like you, I'm going through a metamorphosis, if you will. And what that is that it starts dawning on you in phases. When you begin to realize how much these people have lied to you from jump. I go through different phases of anger. I get very angry when I have these pauses, these moments in my life where I start thinking, and I'm like, it just makes me very angry when I see the deception that's out there. And so it comes out, especially I'm getting older, so the filter goes down as you get older. But when you really start thinking about how much the amount of lies these people have told us, this system has told us, man, it makes you angry. It makes you very angry. And I don't know if I'll ever not be angry when you think about it. And so these people have used this system within the system to keep black folks in this perpetual place where, like I was saying last week, we shall overcome someday. And so that has been perpetuated where one day we're going to be free. One day we're going to be seen as equals. One day we're going to do this. And it's this kick the can stuff, getting back to what I was saying earlier about how the church does the same exact thing. One day by his stripes we're going to be healed. One day we're going to do this. But it has not happened. And and people within religion Christianity specifically, will never be honest about that. Instead, we kind of cobble together a belief, an on-the-spot belief, and say the reason why Granny got healed is because God used the hands of a doctor to give and instructed the doctor to, under the anointing, gave the doctor the wisdom to give the right pharmaceutical to grandma, so that, and then because the wisdom of the Lord came upon the doctor by the Holy Spirit, it came on the doctor just knew, hey, this is a high blood pressure pill that you need to take. I just heard about it. I'm going to give it to you. And grandma start taking it, and guess what? The anointing just came through the pill and caused grandma's high blood pressure to go down. And by his stripes, she's healed. And we just go with that. We just cobble together that. But I'm like, okay, but the Bible didn't say anything about no pills. It said that you're going to lay hands on the sick and watch them recover. Or what about the whole raising of the dead thing? Let's talk about that. How many of these little young men, young women, adults, grandparents have been shot and killed by stray bullets, for example, had their funerals in a church that preaches this every Sunday about raising of the dead? How many of these preachers stopped the funeral and said, let me get down here, Let me lay hands on this little child that's in this casket and raise him or her from the dead, and then we can get on back to business. Tell me when that has happened. And I want you to start being honest. Don't stop making excuses. Be honest with that. Stop making excuses and saying to yourself, well, we're just not there yet, and we ain't at the dispensation where that can happen. This has been preached for how many years now? How many years now? How many centuries? You know, the Pope just came out and said he apologizes for slavery. Okay, great. All right, what you gonna do about it? You know, and then, you know, Ghana, of course, they're like, oh, you know, and they say, well, we're gonna invite him to come over to preach the message and bring the people even more into bondage. Anyway, yeah, so I saw that story. But anyway, but in politics, it's no different. In politics, it's literally no different. It's the same thing. One day we're going to be free. This vote right here is the embodiment of you and your ancestors. And when you cast your vote, the powers that shouldn't be are shaking in their boots, because once they see you cast your vote, they just are just scared, because it's not just you. They see images and visions of your ancestors coming along and ready to strike with revenge because you cast your vote. That's not how the system works. I saw a video. I would play it. It was an old 60 Minutes clip. I would play it, but they'll probably, you know, say it's copyright, so I can't play it. Maybe I'll do a post at some point and I'll provide the link to it. But you can look it up. It's probably on YouTube somewhere. But there's a video clip I saw where this guy, he's explaining how the stock market actually works. He said a lot of times people look at the stock market and you see the people on the stock market floor and they're like, you know, yelling and all that stuff. And they said, you know, a lot of times people think that's the stock market. That's how it works. And he said, no, that's not the stock market. He said, that's just public. He said, come on, let me show you where the real stock market is. And he went behind the scenes wherever he was. And there was a room full of servers. He said, this is the stock market right here. And he talked about how there's tens of thousands of trades that go on every second. Every second, there are trades that are going on just like this. Every second. People making money, people losing money every second. He said, this is the real. He said, and a lot of it can't even really be traced because you don't know who's doing what and all that other stuff. Money is moving in seconds, in milliseconds, in microseconds. Their money is moving, being traded and all of that stuff. That's the stock market. That's the real stock market. And politics works the same way. We talked about recently how the NAACP is out here telling people, oh, we got to, you know, boycott the NAA. We got to boycott the NCAA. And now they took it up and said, we're going to boycott all their supporters. But it's quite interesting. If you look at the last broadcast we showed you, it's interesting because you guys actually find in NCAA and the NAACP, they actually have the same financial backing. So is the NAACP, are they going to cancel the financial backing they're getting from companies like UPS, FedEx, Walmart, so forth and so on? Are they going to cancel that? Of course they won't. And so that's kind of how this works. So politics in of itself is the real politics isn't in the word wars that we see happening on social media. It is not in like the Jasmine Crockett's who got to read the whole room and all that stuff. That is only the front street of politics. And I remember last week, I was trying to remember the person that she avoided endorsing, Jasmine Crockett. It was Cori Bush. And I believe she's out of Detroit. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong. But Cori Bush, she's been very vocal against Israel. And once she went public and said, basically, I ain't with Israel, I'm pro Gaza or whatever, immediately the Zionists got together, raised up money, and they found another black stooge to replace her just like that. Well, there was an interview that I showed you of, what's her face, Jasmine Crockett, and the interviewer asked her point blank about her support. Does she support Israel? She danced better than all the Jackson 5 put together around that. She danced all around that question. So basically, she does support Israel, just like pretty much all of the Congressional Black Caucus supports Israel. Why should that be important to you as a black person? Now, we're talking about the same topic here. I'm not straying here. Why should this be important to you? Because on Front Street, these people, and we're going to get into this fraternity and sorority BS in a moment here, because I'm going to be very direct with that this evening. Because on Front Street, they may try to say some shady stuff about Israel and all that stuff, but what you as a black American, what you need to understand is the connection between Israel and the police. And we've talked about this, and many of you smart enough to know yourself because you did your research. Many of these police departments all across the nation have been trained by Israel. They've been trained by Israel. They send them over to the IDF and they train them. In fact, there are many members of the Congressional Black Caucus that have been on sponsored trips to Israel so that they can see and applaud the training that the police get. But then when they come over here and talk to you, they want to talk about, oh, we got to blank the police and we got to cut their funding and all that stuff. That's what they say on Front Street. On Back Street, they are pushing and signing off at the tune of millions and millions and millions of dollars of this alliance between Israel and the police. And we're supposed to be listening to that? But we need black representation. Let's talk about that. Let me go ahead and bring this up here on the screen here. Let me see. Because we need some visuals tonight here. Here we go. The Black Matrix Priesthood. This is who we're going to talk about. This Black Matrix Priesthood, because like I said, the religion, the matrix, the glue that holds the matrix system together is religion. And like I said, there are many other examples I can give as far as how religion is used, obviously in the church, we know that, but in politics as well. So you got black folks who believe that, you know, just like in again, going back to looking at the church, for example, they got to scare you. The center message of the church is that you got to get saved. You have to be saved, because if you are saved, you're not going to go to hell. So hell is the carrot that they have, the carrot of fear that they got to dangle in front of you. Oh, if you don't do that, you better watch it. Oh, the devil's close. Oh, he's going to strike at any given moment. Oh, here comes the devil. Oh, here he comes. And so that's what the church had to do. They always got to use fear to motivate you. Well, in politics, particularly black politics, they do the same thing. If you don't vote, here comes the Ku Klux Klan. Here comes Jim Crow. I can hear them now. I can hear the dogs coming. They're coming right now. Here they come. Oh, if you don't vote, they're going to take away your rights. They're getting ready to do it. We're getting ready to get back. The other day, it looks like they were building 2 sets of water fountains. Oh, you better get out and vote. It's always got to be this element of fear to get you to do something and to keep you rounded up and control. That's what they do. They both do. So both the church and politics, they do the same thing. They got to use fear. Now, that's the way black folks, you know, and black politicians use it. But in the wider scope of politics, they use fear too. You know what I mean? Like, you know, with white people, it's been, you know, particularly Republicans, it's, you know, or conservatives or the MAGA crowd, it's the immigrants coming in and they're going to take over and they're going to destroy your country and all this other stuff. And even though it may be some truth to that, I'm talking more on the illegal side, not the legal ones that come in, but on the illegal side, there's some truth to that. But they really ramped it up to where it's some kind of fear thing. They're going to marry your white daughters and all this other stuff, right? So there's all kinds of fear, the Iran war and all that stuff. And you notice that even the war in Iran, they've kind of tuned that down. It's been quite muted. There's still some things that are happening, but notice on mainstream media, they came out and said, we got to get out there. Oh my God, Iran, they're getting ready to go bomb us. They're going to bomb us. They got people all over in the United States at any given moment. They can strike us in any given moment in any city and all that. You remember all of that? And just like that, in the matter of a weekend, all of that went away. Now there ain't nobody talking about that. You don't hear nobody talking about that. And you see the magic of how the media works. It's fear. Fear is a factor, but more particularly, it's used for, it's especially used on black folks. And it's especially true for this group here, this black matrix priesthood. And the priesthood I'm referring to are fraternity and sorority members. These are the individuals who have appointed themselves as leaders. They said that we are the spokespeople of black folks. So if you want to speak to black folks, you got to speak to us. We're the leaders. That's why they're in the position that they're in. Now you think about it. I don't really quite see that with white people. Asians or Hispanics or whatever. They may do it to some measure, but not to the degree that black folks have. Oh my God, it's a crisis if they get rid of our black leadership. We're going to be doomed. You're going to be doomed if you get rid of black representation. Do you not understand that this redistricting is going to get rid of these 4 or 5 black Congress people? They have been in this seat since the 1800s. They're going to get rid of them. And now we ain't going to have representation. And we tell ourselves that as if that's some kind of real threat. When all you got to do is, okay, let's look at the districts that they have been in control of. It's still high crime. The education quality is still low and all of that. And they've been getting away for years and years and years, just simply passing the buck and saying, it's the white man. They're not giving us enough funding and all this other stuff, right? But you were promising black folks, if you get in there, that you're going to make some change happen, but your changes have not been happening, which means you should have been voted out a long time ago. So anyway, so many of these so-called leaders are a part of a society, a secret society, fraternity, sororities, also known as the Black Greek letter organizations. And in order to get into these Black Greek letter organizations, number one, you got to get your ass kicked. Yes, you got to get your ass kicked in order to be a part of it. They have some other factors too. But I want you to take a look. Let me see if I can pull up this video here. Because your favorite preacher happened to drop a couple of videos here. And he was talking to someone. I don't know who this dude is. And quite frankly, I don't care. And I always say to myself, I said, I wonder if there will ever be a day I'll be able to confront these people. That would be quite interesting. But anyway, Jamal Bryant, your favorite preacher in the entire world, he had somebody on his podcast that nobody really looks at. And the reason why I know is he has these shorts on TikTok and there's like 2 people on there. And I'm not going to be sitting up here bragging like, hey, I got 28 people looking at me. I necessarily don't care. But Jamal Bryant is someone you got a full complement of a lot. But yet you can't get anybody to look at your podcast. That says a lot. But anyway, so let me play this clip from Jamal Bryant of New Birth Missionary Baptist Church. And let me see if I could get this up here. And I want you to take a listen to him and this other guy. They're talking, and they're talking about their reasoning, the worlds of Christianity and Black Greek letter organizations. And I want you to take a listen to the rationale here. All right, let's go.
I'm wondering from a biblical vantage point, in your own process, did you find a theological conflict in making a commitment to Alpha Phi Alpha and serving the one God?
That's a good question. And to answer your question, no, I did not. Without revealing, there is scripture tied into our process as well.
Yeah.
Beautiful scripture selected that really helped to solidify and seal the deal for me. I have never once felt compromised with my spirituality or with my values or morals.
Yeah.
Being a member of Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity, because I'm very clear who I serve.
Right.
I also know that we take vows. We raise our hands to be sworn in, to accept duties and responsibilities. And I'm very clear that nothing in that language that I've seen conflicts with my love and my relationship with my Lord and Savior and with my understanding of God.
I'm wondering from a biblical vantage point, in your own process, did you find a theological?
So, of course, you don't. He said without revealing. So why can't you reveal it? I mean, shouldn't there be just full transparency? What is not being revealed here? Well, we already know what's not being revealed. Let's go to the second one. Let me just go ahead and play the second one because it's, you see how I put that little sneaky language in there. He's saying, well, we're not, without revealing or telling you too much. I took the time to look at it myself, and there's really no conflict of interest in any of it and all of that, right? All right, so let me play the second clip of this interview here.
And so when I see now these public denouncing of the organizations, I'm troubled by it. I'm concerned with the caliber of men and women who are seeking. One that really stands out, Jamal, if I may call you by your first name.
Please, it's on my birth certificate.
Is the fact that there was a Delta who pledged at Howard, who went through the membership intake, did that beautiful presentation ceremony, and then the next Monday she denounced. So there's something unstable about that.
Yeah.
So I think what we have to do is to really understand the history of these organizations, what they mean, what they've given, how they have provided service, how they have created a wonderful sense of class and culture on the campus throughout the years historically. I think we need to look at that. They've changed and evolved over the years. I get it. Lots of membership hazing activities on some campuses, et cetera. I get that as well. And so when I see now these public denounce.
There you go. So you heard the clip there. So what are some of the things that he's not able to reveal? Well, we do know he mentioned very quickly the hazing thing. This is part of their belief system. Now, I know we got some fraternity and sorority members that will say, well, I never was hazed and all of that. And I could, we could do that for another video. And I actually have done that. You could probably go back through our library. And I have played clips of people who have gone through the swearing in, the whole ceremonial, it's a whole week, that these people go through, if not more, where they are hazed. They are spoken down to. They are made to go through all of this very demonic, crazy stuff where they're being humiliated. You have to be humiliated in order to be accepted. This is the foundation of their belief system. You have to be humiliated in order to be accepted in their group. Let me say that again. You have to be humiliated in order to be accepted. In many ways, that's reminiscent of slavery. where you have so-called leaders within that group that will talk down to other people. So you got black men. This is what they green light. This is what I want you to understand. These individuals within their organization will green light in secret talking down very derogatory to other black men if we're talking about fraternities. They will green light that. They will say all kinds of crazy things to them, all kinds of insults and, you know, whatever it is that they do. All the stuff, you know, in terms of just verbal. Some of the worst verbal abuse that you will see in the black community comes out of these organizations. Now, that's just the men. It's the same thing with the women. Verbal abuse. This is the foundation of what you believe of these organizations. Trying to get that back up here. Of this black matrix priesthood. This is the foundation, is verbal abuse. We're just talking verbal abuse. Then you got the physical, where now you got physical abuse, where they're made to do all kinds of stuff. They're getting hit. They're getting spanked. All kinds of stuff like that. This is the foundation of this very demonic, evil, wicked organization. And tonight, I'm coming very hard at y'all. So the foundation of your belief system is verbal abuse. Then you got physical abuse. You got women who are verbally and physically going after other black women. And I'm going to show you in a little bit the latest two examples of how that has come into the workplace. Because if you look at, there is a whole string that we have been keeping track of on this platform of the first black judge, the first black woman in this, and the first black woman in that. And you give them a year, and you will find it don't even take that long. Many of them have been found to be very abusive to their subordinates. And nobody wants to talk about that. And then all it takes is 2 minutes, and you'll find that, oh, they're a Delta. Oh, they're an AKA. Oh, they're so-and-so. Gee, I wonder how they got that. I wonder where they get that from. So this is a pattern, a cycle of abuse that they perpetuate within their ranks. Then there's sexual abuse. More specifically, you have a lot of gay, LGBT stuff that these individuals do in their little secret thing. Now, do all of them do that? I'm not saying that, but many of them do, and they'll never talk about it in public. But we see the results of what they do in the darkness when they come out into the light, when they are out there, when they are supposedly representing black folks. What are they prioritizing over black Americans? LGBTQ. They are prioritizing that. Why are they prioritizing that so strong? Because that's what they practice in order to be a part of their little society. So that's what they so let me be clear on this platform where I'm coming from, okay? I'm of the belief that the family should be one man, one woman, and a child or children. That is the family, period, okay? Now, if you are in a situation where, you know, maybe you're a divorcee or something like that, you know, and things didn't work out and you understand, hey man, it just didn't work out. Nobody's blaming you or anything like that. I don't know all the details, but we do understand that there is a format that has worked for years and years and years, and it continues to work and it continues to thrive. And it's something that aligns itself with nature. We see this happen in nature all the time. You got the father, you got the lion, you got the lioness, and then you got the little baby lions, right? And they all do the same thing. Same thing with elephants, same thing with other animals and all of that. We see this pattern matched in nature. It's not about the Bible. It's about what we see in nature. This happens all the time in nature. And it's something that has been sustained for as long as we can remember. Okay? And so, but what these people practice in the dark is what they preach or what they implement when they come out in the public. So there's many stories of a lot of gay stuff that goes on behind the scenes. And they say, oh, you know, we just brothers and all that stuff. No, the hell you're not. No, you gay. And a lot of these guys will do all kinds of crazy stuff. And the same thing with the what you call the sororities. They do the same stuff. All kinds of stuff. But they will never publicly come out. And these individuals that you'll see in this black matrix priesthood, they come out and they are your doctors, they are your lawyers, they are your preachers, they're your pastors, they're your state representatives, they're your congresswomen, congressmen, and all of that stuff. And they are still very much tied to this cult mindset. And they stay committed to each other. I've said this many, many times before. Not only that, they will hire each other above you. If you're not a member, then it sucks to be you, because they are always going to prioritize their own members. Always. This is the reality. So when you're dealing with a group like that, these people are not pro-Black American. They are pro themselves. And as Black Americans, we have to start being serious and saying to hell with all of them, and have no exceptions at all, and allowing these individuals to speak on your behalf, because they are not your representatives. They represent themselves and their own interests. They do not represent you. Maybe they do. Maybe you've handed that to them, but in reality, they don't give two craps about you or your family. They don't. They use you as a poster to push their agenda, but they don't care about you. So we have to begin to start thinking in a way where you cannot have this dual mindset. Well, some of them aren't that bad. Some of them, they're kind of doing all. No, all of them need to be packed up. All of them need to go. All of them need to go out. All of them. I don't care. The good, bad, ugly, it don't matter. They all need to go. Because if you have any association with these groups, you need to go. You need to go. If a bomb can be sent tomorrow and blow all y'all up, I would say, please do it. Seriously. That's how serious I am with this. Because these people are the most anti-Black American people on the face of the earth right now. They push policies that are anti-Black family. They will say, well, we got to push, for example, women reproductive rights. That's code words for abortion. What culture pushes for the annihilation of his own people? What culture does that? Where you literally are pushing for policies where you are encouraging your women to kill their children. What cultures do that and survive longevity? You wonder why and a lot of times people have been looking at the numbers and saying, oh, white people by 2050, they're going to be overtaken by the non-Black. That means that, we're going to be in the majority. Who's we? Who's we? Because, honey, you haven't looked at the whole numbers. Black Americans' numbers are also going down too. Maybe not at their rate, but our birth rate is going down. It is slowed down. You got to look at the numbers. So when they say non-white, it ain't you. They're not talking about you. All these immigrants that are coming over here, that's who they're talking about. And all you got to do is look this up. Take a minute and look it up. Take 1 minute and look it up. The countries that have the highest birth rates right now are Ghana, Nigeria. I think Kenya is another one. There's another one. There's a couple of more in Africa, just Africa. Africa has the highest birth rate right now in the world. It's not here. So you want to follow what they do? you follow what they do? They wear blonde wigs. They got blonde hair. We gonna have our blonde wigs. They live here. We gonna live here too. They go here. We gonna go over there too. They eat this kind of food. We gonna eat it too. They kill their children. Well, we gonna kill our children too. And you keep doing that, what do you think the results are going to be? You're going to incur the same stuff. Well, another thing that what these people have co-signed on, which was probably, I would say in my lifetime, was one of the most evil, the most demonic things that I have ever witnessed in my lifetime. And that was what took place. What was this? We're in 2026, almost 6 years ago. And, I don't even have to mention it. YouTube is YouTube. And so there's certain things I can't say publicly, but you know what I'm talking about. To sit back and to see with my own black eyes how these individuals forcefully kept scaring our people into taking that demonic poison and didn't even have the guts to say, you know what, we are going to be a stop break here and we're going to do a full investigation on our own for real. And we're going to see, because there's too much history. You're talking hundreds of years of history here. So we're not going to rush to anything. We hear what you're saying, but we're not rushing to anything. And instead of them doing that, really doing that, they simply co-signed on it. And the result of that has been untold thousands and thousands and thousands of black souls, of black lives that have been gone, eliminated because of this, or just for the rest of their lives have been impacted by this. And I don't know if you saw that post I did, what was it, yesterday, showing you how our, just reminding you again, you can go almost anywhere in the United States and you can be, it could be majority white place, it could be black, whatever. You look at many of our elders are walking around with double masks because they are in fear because their doctors told them that, any given moment you can die because this stuff is just flying in the air and any given moment something can get inside of you and you could do it. And these doctors won't even tell these elders that the danger of apnea, hyperapnea. They won't tell them about that. Is it hyperapnea? Anyway, where basically you're taking in too much of your own carbon dioxide. And when you're taking too much of your carbon dioxide, that's what makes you sick, is by doing that. Hypercapnia, I think that's what it is. And so, but they don't tell them that. Meanwhile, we've had people dropping left and right, 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 left and right. This has been happening for the last 5-6 years. Your loved ones, aunties, uncles, cousins, mama and them, dad and them, just dropping left and right, left and right, left and right. Been happening for years now. And people will continue to hear this. Lives are just falling left and right. They'll continue to hear this and go on about their business like nothing has happened. People still dying. We're talking about a full genocide. Full genocide that took place right in front of our faces. And these people co-signed on that and pushed it on you and your families. These members of this black matrix priesthood, they ushered in that genocide. The genocide, the modern day genocide of black folks was ushered in by this group. And unfortunately, the community is still yet to hold them to any kind of standard. Every chance I get when I'm on social media, I'm always asking these black doctors, okay, can you name me one black medical group that has done an intense study to show the impact of the you know what has had on black bodies since that was mandated? What has been the impact? They won't even answer me. They won't even answer. I don't get any answer. I never get an answer. I ask them just plainly. I'm not even being snarky or anything like that. I'm just asking. They'll never give me that. I've never gotten an answer from that. Because the answer is there isn't any. I've looked into it very detailed, very intensely, and I have not found not one study by any of these black medical organizations where they have looked in and did a follow-up. Meanwhile, when I look at white folks, there are many white medical doctors and stuff that have put their whole careers on the line to do their own studies, and many times they will fund it themselves and found there's some grave discrepancies of what we've been told. People still, like the CDC, they had a database that they had for years where if you were reporting, it was allowing the public to self-report that, hey, if you're noticing any kind of symptoms, things like that that's going on, you can self-report, and we can take that data and we can use that so that we can do an additional study. Now, this is the CDC. They've been doing this. Now, let me ask you something. How hard would it have been if you just got a couple of black folks that got together in the medical field and said, we're going to create a database for black folks. In light of our history, we want to create a database to watch and to monitor what this thing has done to black folks. Not one has done that. Instead, they're steering you off into some other thing. I hold them guilty of that. I hold them guilty of that. And I'll never forgive those people. Anybody that's associated with that, you're guilty too. Well, I wasn't in those organizations then. Are you in it now? Well, yeah. Well, you guilty too. And my hope is that you will bust hell wide open to whatever God it is that you serve, because how dare you do this to people and be a part of that and be so eager to be a part of such an organization that will greenlight that kind of stuff. It's a religion. It's a religion. And their religion is part of this maze within the maze that, again, I'm calling it the black matrix, and is designed to use religion mainly to keep you at bay, to never ask questions, to never self-correct, to never push beyond the narratives. When you see these teen takeover things happening, don't breathe it out publicly, because that's a conversation we need to have behind closed doors. There ain't no doors. In fact, there ain't no house. You telling me that now one major black platform is not having any real conversations or discussions on this, or putting together any kind of real plan to stop this madness, where you got mostly black kids that are terrorizing these communities? And these communities aren't just white communities, they're also black communities too. And nobody got a word to say about that. Nobody. But instead, we're supposed to be concerned about what the quarterback for the Giants, he endorsed Trump, and we got to focus all on that. But the same people like Jamel Hill, she ain't got a mumbling word to say about this stuff. The View, they ain't got nothing to say about this. Stephen A., nothing to say about this. And as I depicted in that image that I posted the other day, If this was a bunch of white kids that were doing that, and that were going into mostly black communities, oh, all of a sudden now it's Jim Crow. All of a sudden this is Black Wall Street all over again. Be afraid, be afraid, be afraid. But black kids are doing this stuff. I heard this black woman the other day. She said it's, when you see black children that are being very loud and stuff in the store, don't get mad at them. She said it's actually a form of black joy. And so that's what they're calling it now. They're calling it black joy. This is what they're putting out now. This is what they're trying to convince us of that. Anyway, let's go on. Let's move on here. And this is the story that I want to talk about. Two stories here. This is the in the latest news. There were this happened within, both of these stories came out within a week. Now, like I told you in the last broadcast, we highlighted a very moving video of a black judge who basically came out and said, you had this young man who was rushing to the hospital because his sister was having a medical emergency. It was something going on there. And so, the cops stopped them and all this stuff. And so there was some other things that happened or whatever. But so he, got fined for that or whatever. And come to find out, the judge in the series of questions found out that this young man basically suffers from PTSD because he was in the war and saw some things that really, messed him up a little bit mentally. But he was a very, from what he presented, extremely respected young man. Extremely respectful, to the judge and all of that. He wasn't act like he wasn't caring or anything like that. He was like, no, I'm trying to make this right, but, he was focused on, hey, what do I need to do? I only got $30 to my name, but I'm going to do something just, because I know that was wrong, that's it, or whatever. And the judge, he started asking questions. He finds out that this guy served in the military, but not only served, fought in the war, saw some things that were just very troubling to him that caused PTSD for him to suffer from that. And he's also homeless, so he can't it's hard for him to get a job. So there was all that stuff. So he's finding out stuff. And this judge used his position to say, you know what, let's cancel that. And you use most of that money, go get you something to eat. And, if you want to pay $10, just pay $10. And then the rest, go get yourself something to eat and get yourself together. I'd much rather see you focus on that than us trying to take all your money and all of this stuff, which is going to keep you in this never ending cycle and loop and all of that stuff. And so I saw that it was very moving because I say, here's a great example of someone that's using their position that the public put him in to give justice in a way that not only benefits the public, but it also benefits this young man too, where he can take that experience and become a better person as a result of it. You understand what I'm saying? So I thought that was just a very great example. And it shows how you do have particularly black folks who are in these elected positions that do use their positions where they are doing these kind of things. And I want to make sure that we highlight that. But as you know, on this platform, we look at both sides. And when we look at the other side, that's where people start having problems. But I don't care because we got to look at both sides, right? And so there are two stories that just came out recently. This first one here, this is this judge here. Both of them are sorority members. And let me pull this up here. Okay, here we go. All right, judge allegedly made racial comments about white clerk, postponed critical hearings to walk her dogs. Now, wait till we get into this. An Alabama judge has been suspended. Alabama, and didn't they just do the march, the Selma March? They did. While they're doing the Selma March, this is what's happening behind the scenes. An Alabama judge has been suspended after she was accused of making racial remarks about a white court clerk and postponing critical hearings for patients committed in hospitals so that she can walk her dogs, according to court docs. Probate judge Yeshiba Blanchard is facing dozens of allegations of incompetence in her courtroom and creating a chaotic backlog of cases. with one attorney begging for a hearing to go on as scheduled because he was concerned that their client was going to die. Blanchard, who was allegedly consistently late to court, is your black girl Magic. She's an AKA, by the way. Did not hear a single case related to involuntary commitments until 9 months into her term. This is your black representation. Leaving patients languishing in hospitals, hospital mental wards, according to the complaint filed by the Judicial Inquiry Commission. So she had patients in hospital, in mental wards. They couldn't get a hearing because she wanted to go walk her dogs. But we want to talk about white supremacy, okay? Anyway, Judge Blanchard told her staff on one occasion that she was late to her involuntary commitment docket because she had 3 dogs to walk, the complaint states. Outraged hospital staff wrote to Blanchard's office last year regarding a canceled hearing which would have caused a patient to remain hospitalized for an additional 2 weeks solely due to the lack of timely access to the hearing process. Beyond this single case, the cancellation of the docket disrupts unit flow, delays care for other patients needing admission, which can pose a threat to public safety, and places our staff in an unattainable operational position. It is difficult to reconcile today's action with our shared responsibility to ensure patients receive timely due process and appropriate least restrictive care. In another of the 24 incidences of hearings delayed or canceled outlined in our complaint, an attorney responded to an email about a hearing being rescheduled with a desperate plea. Just hoping we do not have a continuance because I am so worried that my client is going to die. Blanchard is also accused of targeting Chief Clerk Amanda Reed. When a court staffer told the judge on her first day that she liked Reed, who is white, Judge Blanchard then said, "Oh, I forgot, you all like kissing white ass," the complaint says. Now, I don't know if this article gets into it, but she was very active on social media. She's posting all kinds of stuff on social media. This is a judge. Blanchard also allegedly moved Reed's desk to a cubicle in front of her bailiff in retaliation for complying with a subpoena from the Judicial Inquiry Commission. You see that? In total, Blanchard faces 7 charges for violating multiple provisions of the Alabama canons of judicial ethics. She's been suspended indefinitely. This is your black representation. But, again, when you are part of the Black Matrix group there, priesthood, you don't really talk about these things because they protect each other. And in another article, it goes even more detail, talking about the level of bullying she did in her amongst her own employees. She would bully them. And if you go back in our earlier post on our community page, I have a whole list of other all black female elected officials who are also known for bullying their people. Gee, I wonder where they got inspiration from that. And just about all of them were sorority members. Here's another judge. Now, this just came out today. I just found out about this one. This one, you think that's bad. Whew. Man, this is really bad. Judiciary tried to hide sex in chambers judge name. It left a roadmap to identify Eleanor Ross instead. Now, this story I'm going to read to you because it actually ties into other things that I have discussed in great detail on this platform. So just hang in there with me because it's going to branch out just a little bit. Okay. And so this is the guy his name is Joe Patrice, he did the investigation and was able to find this person's name, this judge's name, who's based in Georgia. As soon as we flagged an unnamed federal judge having sex in chambers as part of an extramarital affair of high-ranking law enforcement officer, or with a high-ranking law enforcement officer, everyone asked the immediate follow-up: how is a federal judge unable to afford a hotel room? Followed soon after by, who is this anonymous judge? Because despite the severity of the allegations, an affair that raised serious blackmail risk, attending openly partisan events, and lying to investigators when caught, the 11th Circuit and the Judicial Conference both concealed the judge's identity. They even adjusted the very minor sanction to allow the judge to word the letters of apology vaguely so as to ensure that a letter could not be used against the judge in some way. Now, let me stop here for a second, because I do want to remind you of something again that I have said repeatedly over and over and over again on this platform. And that is that, as we've said before, and I'll continue to say it again, this system, this matrix system, this political system is corrupt. From the top to down, up, from side to side, it is a corrupt system. And you cannot be successful in this corrupt system unless you're corrupt. So whatever black representation you elect, they're going to be corrupt in some way, form, or fashion. Now, in this particular case here, take note of the fact that they said the judiciary, they took part in concealing this woman's name. Now, my guess is much of that judiciary are also black, because you're talking about the Atlanta area. There's a high chance that you got a lot of black folks that are in there, and there's an equal high percentage chance that many of them are also fraternity and sorority members, because you'll find a lot of them in that world as well. So they agreed to conceal what this woman did. It's going to get into the details in a moment. So let me bring that back up. Okay. Within 45 minutes of publishing our article, we worked out with a very high degree of confidence that it was Judge Eleanor Ross of the Northern District of Georgia. That said, we didn't have a source with firsthand knowledge to confirm the story. While we made coy allusions, we were not prepared to publish this without more. Bloomberg Law News had just confirmed with a source directly familiar with the investigation that it is Judge Ross. This is where it's going to get very interesting. Excuse me. The 11th Circuit thought it had been so clever in anonymizing its report. In other words, hiding what this woman was doing from the public. What public? The black public. Black folks. Because this is the area, a lot of the people that helped get her where she is were black people. So the judiciary in that area worked together from this with this judge and orchestrated to make sure that what she was doing was hidden from black people. Meanwhile, these same people are out here trying to direct black folks into these fear campaigns that the white man is trying to take something from you. Meanwhile, they are not just have their hands in the cookie jar, they're in the cookie jar. Anyway, let's move on. The reports don't include a name or district and refer only to subject judge throughout. The reports also acidously, I don't know if I'm saying that wrong, I know, avoid identifying the judge by gender. So they hid the fact that this is a woman. So they're playing the gender game, proving that even conservative judges can't figure out how pronouns work with minimum effort. And yet the reports failed to obscure a number of details that made working out the judge's identity possible. This is where the story is going to pivot, and we're going to talk about AI and how the federal courts are not ready for it. Oh, Lord. Here we go, y'all. As soon as I read the reports, I zeroed in on a footnote revealing that the district judge involved hired clerks for 2 years staggered terms. That's not the norm and narrowed down the possible judges out of the gate. But as I tried to scour, Oscar, a former above the law columnist, reached out to remind me that we live in 2026 and AI exists. Handing the reports into 2 different AI models and turning on all the deep research modes, the bots churned for several minutes, comparing the reports to publicly available information. Both models delivered lengthy reports reaching the same conclusion. So how did the models do it? In addition to the 2-year clerk fact, the models instantly filtered out the entire state of Florida. The official reports are littered with references. In varying contexts to the Office of District Attorney, Florida uses state attorneys for its local prosecutors. After that, the bots noted that the sanction barred the judge from ever serving as chief judge of the district, meaning the judge was not senior status and not currently the chief judge. The report indicates that the investigators spoke with clerks dating back to 2020, disqualifying anyone elevated after that. Discussing the judge attending a DA primary victory party, the bot pointed out that the judge had claimed to know the candidate based on the time at the office, narrowing the scope to judges with state prosecutorial experience who overlap with a sitting DA who won the primary and had martinis at the victory party. The AI models decided that it matched with Atlanta's Fannie Wills. That's another woman. That's another one. I think she's AKA too. She got caught. Let me get through this and then I'll tell you. Once it narrowed down the list down, the bot also searched the dockets of possible judges to match the claim in the reports that the high-ranking law enforcement officer did not materialize into a conflict because no cases involving that police department showed up on the judge's docket. For good measure, the bot went ahead and took a guess at the officer's identity too. In about 10 minutes of work, the AI unraveled all the work these judges put in to keep this confidential. With nothing but a couple of published court documents and an open web, in the time someone might brew a cup of coffee, the most basic possible workflow defeated the 11th Circuit's entire anonymization strategy. And then it goes on to some I'm not going to read the rest of it there. You can really get into it there, but it really goes into the details there. But let me go to here. What did she do here? Let me find that here. What was going on? Let me give you that. Hold on for a second here. Give me just a moment because the title talks about it, but I want to give you the what she was actually doing and how crazy and insane this thing was, what she was doing here. Okay, so this talks about some of it. And this one actually identifies the cop as well. Okay. The prominent cop who reportedly had loud sex with federal judge Eleanor Ross had been identified as a deputy chief in the Atlanta Police Department. Kelly Collier was unmasked as the high-ranking official who had steamy affair with the married Obama-era appointed jurist, according to Bloomberg Law, citing a person familiar with the situation. Collier, 55, is a community service division commander with the Atlanta PD, according to his bio, blah, blah, blah. So that's him and this woman here. So that's him And him and her right there. Ross, 58, and Collier had sex in the chambers during business hours. That was loud enough that the court staff could hear moans and kissing sounds, according to a judicial complaint that was later confirmed by a judicial committee. The Post emailed Collier Thursday evening, but a reply said that she was out of the office. All right, and let me go on down here. For 2 years, the subject judge was a federal district judge who routinely heard criminal cases engaged in a secret extramarital relationship with a prominent officer of a large law enforcement agency in the judge's district, according to the court papers. The committee also said that the cop in question serves as a commander of a certain division and has served Atlanta since 1998, which Bloomberg Law reported matches with Collier's bio and now scrubbed link profile. Collier has a passion for analytics, computer technology, and efficient management strategies, and apply these skills daily to achievement possibilities, blah, 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 blah. But let me go ahead, and I'm going to look up something while I'm talking to you here. Let me get this dude here. Give me just a moment here. All right, let me switch this off here. But let me just highlight a couple of things here while I'm looking something up here. A couple of things. Folks, you know how I've been telling you over and over again, and I've been telling black folks over and over again that this AI revolution, you're going to need to learn. This is why we did the book. I mean, this is a soft plug, I guess, for, for the, the book that I had, the big black book of AI prompts. But not really, it's just something you need to know. And hold on, let me see here. So I said that you're going to, why the importance of reading is so critical, particularly during this time, is because with reading, it helps expand your brain, your prefrontal cortex, so that you can be more analytical of words and communication and all of that stuff. But if you're not really reading, what happens is you just take in whatever someone tells you. And now with this AI revolution, it's very easy for particularly the non-readers to just go along with whatever AI tells you. I tell you all the time, I mean, like if I'm doing research and sometimes it will say things that I know it's off or it's not giving the whole story, and I push it a lot, you know what I mean? Because I realize it's artificial intelligence. I'm the real intelligence. And that's what you need to tell yourself all the time, right? And so because of the reading levels, the low reading levels that unfortunately that you see amongst many of our people, along with math as well, which again, math, having a basic understanding of mathematics and all of that, those things are very important for you to sharpen your analytical skills, right? If you don't have that, if you're not sharpened in that area, it doesn't have to mean you got to be an expert, but if you're not sharp in those areas, you're going to be left behind in this whole AI thing, right? And so I remember saying when ChatGPT and all that start rolling out, I said, it's going to be very interesting. I said, you mark my words, a lot of these, and I was talking about, at that time, I was talking about like, a lot of these preachers and stuff that are out here that put all kinds of lies to black folks out here about all kinds of things, even, whether if it's coming from the Bible or coming from their own imaginations and stuff like that. I said, people now are in a position where with these tools, you'll be able to fact check a lot of these people who have been lying to you within seconds. Because see, a lot of these older people are operating in an old mindset, and they believe that they could just say whatever the hell they want to say to black folks, and black folks will just go along with it. But see, we're in 2026 now, and see, now you got AI, and now you can fact check people almost instantaneously. Even here on YouTube, under my videos, you can hit the AI button and you can say, hey, he said this or whatever, and it will, use AI to look it up. You understand what I'm saying? And so yeah, I mean it's all over now. Like I showed you this video clip the other day. This black woman got up and she was talking to a group of people and she said the reason why, she said, you ever notice when black people, we always run when we laugh? And she said the reason why we run when we laugh is because on the plantations, we were not allowed to laugh, so we ran away. I'm not making that up, y'all. I am not making that up. She said that. She said that. She said the reason why black folks run when we laugh is because we weren't allowed to laugh on the plantations. Okay, so fast forward. We saw, I know on this platform, we saw this coming and we saw it coming fast. And so that's why we put together that other class. It was like, what was it? Chat GPT for grown folks, because I wanted particularly, that age demographic, not just black folks, but specifically people within my age group, within my range, going from, 35 on up. I wanted to make sure that folks had the basics and understanding on, it's not just typing in just a simple search. It's how you ask questions. You know what I mean? When you're dealing with AI, it's how you ask it. Because a lot of times people will just plug in anything because AI can be an echo chamber. It's designed in many ways to be that way, to make you feel like you remember there was a whole series of people out here that was using AI and they said, are black people the true Israelites? And then AI was like, yeah, black people are the true Israelites. You guys are the chosen ones. And yeah, Jesus is black. And black folks were taking this and running with it and were just saying, hallelujah, thank you, ET, and thank you, robots for confirming the truth. And I'm just sitting up here like, y'all, how did you ask the question? Did you ask it to source it? And you literally had black folks come into tears listening to this. See, I don't know if some of y'all have short memory. I know I don't. You had black folks literally coming to tears, hearing AI read how they are important. And you are needed, and you're loved, and you got a purpose. That's all it took. Because why? You're not thinking, right? And so, unfortunately, you have that class of people and that sorority, fraternity, boule class of people. They're getting old. And so they do things and think that nobody's going to, that people out there don't really think. But there are a lot of people out there that do think and they know how to process. All you got to do, like I see stuff all the time. I'm like it's an individual, I will not mention their name, but they are on another quest to say that they have discovered the Hebrew language on something else. Folks, I took a screenshot of that image and I ran it through AI, and within seconds it basically laughed at me. And it gave me specific details on the archaeological findings in that area and all that to immediately shut it down. So no more 2-3 hours of debates. Within seconds, we're able to shut this stuff down. But a lot of these people are still stuck in this mindset and think they can tell you whatever the hell they want to say. And unfortunately, you got a lot of people that just go along with it. They just go right along with it. Now, there's two ways we can look at this. Like I said, again, AI ain't the end all of everything when it comes to knowledge, because the people who program this stuff, they program it with agendas too. So that's why you, like I said at the beginning of this broadcast, you have to start with you. You got to prioritize yourself, right? You got to stand on facts. You got to decide that I'm going to stand on truth above all else. Right? And then from there, you just build from there. But what I'm saying to you is, so you got to be able to know how to use the tools, but also know to use your brain, because it starts with here. AI gets its knowledge from you. You understand what I'm saying? That's how you got to look at it. So this judiciary, what it sounds like is that, or we know that they basically tried to conceal what this woman was doing. This woman was having open sex in the chamber and being so loud. It was one account, they said that her clerks, they were like, man, I got to get out of here. This is too much. Now, again, this is the Atlanta area. And a lot of these judges, black judges, they typically hire black folks. And because she's a Delta, in this case, this woman's a Delta, more than likely she hired people who are also in that circle. They said this was going on for 2 years. 2 years. Imagine being in a work environment for 2 years. You are hearing your boss getting it clapped, her cheeks getting clapped for 2 years. And she's getting it clapped by the police. And all of them Negroes in that office knew that this was going on. And it got to the level of being so unsustainable. A white man stepped in and did a report that only took him minutes to do. And then it was not even a day. Bloomberg came in and said, yup, he's absolutely right. What I'm trying to tell y'all is that this group of what I call priests, the Black Matrix priesthood, what I am telling you is that they are not ready for this AI situation, and therefore they're not preparing the people for that. They're not preparing the people for that at all. How many times have you heard them really talk about these AI data centers? How many times have you really heard them, hey, we got to be concerned about this and what they're doing and the impact they're having on the environment and all this other stuff? Have you heard them talk about that at all? No, they're not going to bring that up because many of them are getting money from the side from these organizations that are putting these AI centers in many places where there are a significant number of black folks. They're not going to bring that up. You understand what I'm saying? So you're dealing with a very evil and wicked anti-black priesthood that does these kind of things. But yet the religion of the Black Matrix will tell you, you never you never hold these people accountable. You are never to do that. Accountability, you need to be allergic to that. But what I am telling you is this, that entire priesthood has to be shut down. I do not care if you are someone that's watching me, listening to me, whatever. If you are part of that priesthood, I don't care if you're like, well, I was a member, but I ain't really an active member. What I am telling you is that today we need to serve notice. I don't give a damn if you are active or you are still a card carrying member and you just kind of floating or whatever. I don't give two damns about that. You are associated with a very wicked system that is anti-black. You are. And you have convinced yourself that it's okay to do that, because it's actually helped me to network and to connect with people and all that kind of stuff. And they're going to have that part. But what I am saying is it's part of a much very wicked system that's doing things that are not helping Black Americans at all. They're very counter to Black Americans. And before you can utter a mumbling word about how evil, wicked, and demonic the American government is, you got to ask yourself, why are you not holding the same standard to the organization that you're part of? So we got to be honest. And if you're very honest about being progressive, and I'm not talking progressive as being as a political strategy or anything like that. I'm saying progressive as an individual, period. You understand what I'm saying? Someone that is choosing to move forward and beyond. You're going to have to start being truthful and honest. And if you're trying to establish community, you have to get rid of these people, period. There is no other way around it. There's no other way around it at all. Because these people themselves, they won't even be honest. I could tell you many stories that will have your blood boiling of some of these things that these people are doing. I'm talking about just examples that I know personally, some of the things they're doing as far as families and stuff are concerned and all of that. It's not good at all. It's not good. And we will never be honest with it because this has been ingrained in what we call the Black community, that we're supposed to honor and to respect these people because these people have a rich history and they've done this and that or whatever. And now let me remind you again, this is the same or group of people that was responsible for Ebony magazine. Now, why do you say that? Well, I grew up with Ebony magazine. What you got to say about Ebony magazine? Well, you know, Ebony magazine was very responsible for colorism. It was very responsible for colorism. And many of you who are old enough, you remember that. Ebony Jet magazine, they would push that to the hilt. That's what they used to feature. In fact, many of the advertising dollars that Ebony Jet magazine, Johnson Publishing, received, it came from companies that had skin whitener creams. All you got to do, go and do a search for some of the old Ebony Jet magazines and just look in the ad section, and you'll see ad after ad after ad after ad of skin bleaching. And then when you look at all the models and stuff, you'll see a majority of the models are light skin. And there's a whole generation of individuals who came up during that time that grew up hating their skin even more because of these Negroes. Let me say that again. There's an entire generation of Black individuals that grew up hating themselves, hating their skin because of these organizations. Now, again, we can look at Ebony magazine and say, or Jet magazine, I thing I really liked about it is because I would open it up and I would see people who looked like me. Yeah, they had that too. I'm not going to deny that. Not going to deny that at all. But they also had the other stuff too. And these are the same organizations that came up with the brown paper bag test. Let's never forget that. If you're going to remember the Klan stuff, let's remember that too. You couldn't even be a part of their society unless your skin was a certain tone. And the impact that has had on people, on Black folks, it has impacted an entire generation. Where you still have people favoring, where we still have some of the most darkest, most beautiful Black women who are out here wearing bleach blonde wigs because psychologically they still want to achieve that look. And it all came back from that. Can you imagine people during the, Black people during the 1600s or 1700s, wearing blonde wigs? They'll laugh at us if they saw us today. They said, what you wearing that wig for? You better take that thing off. But today, we see people wearing that with great pride. Can you imagine what our ancestors must say if they realize that we have created secret societies where our best and brightest have created organizations where the men basically have to commit homosexual acts and degrade each other so that they can see themselves as the leaders. And then these organizations then in turn will encourage Black people to commit some of the most heinous acts. I have a video against each other. Like, again, we talked about, of course, abortion, but also we talked about, what was the other thing? LGBTQ, which includes these surgeries where our young women are literally cutting off their breasts, stripping off portions of their skin so that they can have a penis like a man. This is what they co-sign on. I have a video of, it's a Black politician in Colorado. I think I played it before. Let me see if I can find it again. Colorado. Let me see if I can find that. Colorado. hold on. Let me look up on my bookmarks and see. Here it is. This is another woman. It's a black woman in Colorado. And I want to play this video, and I'll play this again. And y'all, we're pretty much done here, but I want you to see this video here, and I want you to take a listen. This is where we are when it comes to black leadership. When it comes to black leadership, this is what your black leadership looks like. Take a listen.
These types of laws have been used to ban drag shows, to target individuals who use the restroom of the sex that they identify with, a public restroom, to charge them with felony charges. I am very concerned about the attacks against the transgender community that are happening across the country. When I initially read this bill, it did not even come to mind, for me either, as an advocate. But as I've looked at the bills and as I've talked to my colleagues who are fighting these types of bills across the country, it's very clear to me that the language is very much mirrored in some of the laws that have been used to target members of our community because of who they are. These types of—
So this woman here, she's a state representative in the state of Colorado. Basically, they came up with a bill. I guess it was Republicans. I'm pretty sure it was like Republicans. They were trying to shut down these drag shows and transgender things. You know how they were this really going after these, and they still doing it in other states, and all of that, where, like I said, again, if you're an adult and you choose to live that lifestyle, then go big, do your life. I don't care. I don't lose any sleep over it. But why is it that when you choose to live that life, you have to immediately go after the children? I do understand that, but you try to talk around that like that's normal. It's not normal. But then when you understand the history behind the LGBTQ flag, then it makes a lot of sense, because one of those colors represents those who are attracted to children. And you have organizations like the Congressional Black Caucus that co-sign on this. Gee, I wonder where that comes from. Anyway, and so they, so anyway, in Colorado, they wanted to shut this down. They said, no, leave the children alone. But here you have a black woman here who's saying, no. I think we're going too far with this. We're going to have to protect these people. We have to protect these people because it's dangerous and you're endangering their lives. Not talking about the children. Talking about these individuals that are going around dressing up as a gender that they are not. And we have case after case after case after case after case after case after case where these individuals are found out with thousands and thousands of images of child porn, all kinds of stuff, where they have crossed many lines. And groups, members like the Congressional Black Caucus and black female politicians and black male politicians as well that will co-sign on this stuff. Does that represent the community that you want to be part of? Or does it represent their priesthood? So that's what I want to talk about in this particular broadcast here. Because we're going to have to put the hammer down when it comes to these individuals here. We cannot play around. We cannot tolerate this anymore. Or I should say, you shouldn't tolerate that. If any of this resonates with you, then you yourself on a personal level need to draw the line. I have to stop saying myself, we, because I can't assume everybody that's listening to me agrees with that. You understand what I'm saying? There are a lot of people that are like, no, I actually agree with what these people are saying. Okay, fine, then you go with that. But what I'm asking you is you want to co-sign on that? Do you really know what these people are about and what they're doing? I'm trying to get you to think and to hear this all the way out. You understand what I'm saying? Now, at the end of the day, if that's what you want to ride with and that's what you want to embrace, that's your choice. But we're going to have to take a closer look and really dissect what we call the Black community. Because as I said in the beginning of this broadcast, it's a very diverse community, just like any other community. Anything else out here, we call a community. And we got to stop thinking that what we call the Black community is one big monolith, because it's not. And I'm talking even Black Americans. It's not. Community starts with you. And your community may only have a few members. But the community begins with you. And you have to really think, even though we are Black folks, we also have to understand too, don't limit your community to just that, because color alone, as we're seeing, is not a promise. It is not a guarantee for anything. It really isn't. You understand? That's not denying who you are. It's just being real in who you are, and that who you really are goes beyond this right here. It does. All right. So I think that's it. That's all we have for this particular broadcast. I hope it, like, all of our other broadcasts, I hope it something resonated and is causing you to really think deeply about these things. But these individuals here, I have a deep hatred towards all of the members of these organizations. I do. Because I see what they have done to Black folks. And a lot of Black folks, unfortunately, they feel as if they, that this is some sacred priesthood that has carried us to the promised land. And if it wasn't for them and all this other stuff, no. King even said before he was shot out of here was that he believed that he led his people into a burning building. Meanwhile, we have all of his disciples that are continuing the legacy of leading Black people into a burning building, and nobody will stop and ask the more deeper questions about any of this stuff. So anyway, that's it. That's all I have for you guys. Thank you so much. As always, remember, check out our website, sambatree.com, sambatree.com, where we have a 50% off on our Samba University material. So make sure you check that out, along with all the other stuff that we have as well. Go check it out. Again, the website is sambatree.com. If you're not a subscriber to the email list of sambatree.com, make sure you do that, because we always have little things that we're going to be passing along there. Great information for you and your family. Okay. All right, you guys, listen, you take care. I'm out of here. Take care. And we'll be